Hello, in this lesson, I'm going to review a Boxplot. So first, let's look at the Boxplot below. The box describes the personal incomes in thousands of dollars in 2006 of the 50 states. Answer the question using the Boxplot. So before we start Boxplot, let's kind of understand what the Boxplot display here. So this data point here is the minimum of the data point. And this number over here is your Q1. This is your Q2. And that's your Q3. Notice that your Q2 is same thing as your median. And this point over here is your maximum. Also your outlier here, outlier of the data set. This is an outlier. And this point over here, pay attention here, this is not the maximum, but this is the biggest data point that's less than the upper fence. And let me write that. Okay, so let's read it. So what was the approximate minimum personal income? Again, the minimum here, note that it's lined up with about 35. So I would say the minimum is 35 thousands of dollars. I would say 35. And pay attention to the unit here. It's thousands of dollars. So 35,000. That's the minimum income. Okay, what was the approximate maximum personal income? Now the maximum here is also the outlier here. That's about 60,000. What is the approximate first quartile? Now the first quartile is the first number, this first line over here. This is the first quartile. That's about, I would say, 38,000. And what is the approximate 50% tile of first personal income? Okay, 50% tile is also the median, and that's Q2. And Q2 in this case is approximately, I would say 44. So 44,000. And personal income, that means 50% of the incomes are under 44,000, and 50% of people make more than 44,000. And let me write. Okay. So if I would draw a number line to represent that, then look like this. So this is my 50% of people here. This is 44,000. Is the middle 50, and now on about here we have 50% of the people from in the 50 states, and then make under that, and then I would have 50% of people make over that, right? This is the maximum. All right, let's look at part E. What is approximate third quartile? Third quartile is Q3. Now let's look at my graph here. Q3 is over here. I will say that would be 46,000. So the third quartile is 47,000. Okay. So the third quartile is another name for third quartile is Q3, 47,000. And let's look at the next one. To approximate what percentage of data set does the whole right whisker represent? Okay. The whole right whisker is this part of the box plot here. Note that the four quartile divide each into 25%. So let me draw it. So that means if I would draw it, this is the minimum, that's the maximum, and this is Q1, Q2, Q3. Note that each one of those little area here is 25%. 25% in each quartile, 25%, 25%. So doesn't matter how long the length of the whisker is, it represents 25% of the data set. So it represents 25% of the data set regardless of length. Part G, what percentage of income were greater than approximately 46,500? Okay, let's look at 46,500 on my graph. 46,500. I think that's approximate Q3, right? The approximate here. This is like Q3 here. So the question asks me a percentage like greater than that. That would be 25%. Again, everything from Q3 to the maximum, to the maximum, is about approximately equal to the right whisker length, right? So there's approximately 25% as well, plus the extra outlier, but 25% approximately. So again, 46,500 is approximately the third quartile. That means my third quartile here, it should be it should be 46,500 from part D. Again, we're approximating, reading the graph. So that's reading the box plot here. Let's look at another problem. Question number 2, given the following commute time in minutes, answer the following. And notice that this is a sample here. So A, find the following statistics, wrong answer to 2 decimal place. So to find all this median, mean, variance, all these data points, I need to first input my data into a list. So let's go to stat and go to editing. Now here, I'm going to clear my disk by highlight the list. I'm going to clear my data point in L1 by clear and then enter. Now I can enter my data, 5, and keep going. Okay, once I finish enter the data into the calculated list, then I go to stat, go to calculate using the right arrow, and then one var stat is highlighted, put enter. Now I know that my data is in L1, so just put enter. Okay, so know that my mean is 21.333 and my standard deviation, this is sample, so I use S of X, is 13.13. And then notice that my sample size is 18 and use the arrow to get to the rest of the data point. So keep going down, you'll see that the maximum, median, Q1, Q2, Q3, and etc. So again, use the list, use the arrow to get to the reading part here. Okay, so write down the information from the calculator. I have sample mean using X bar 21.33. Again, I'm using the sample standard deviation here. Median notation, I'm using M for median. Now, fourth quartile, same thing as Q1. Second quartile, same thing as Q2, which is the median. Third quartile is Q3. All right, now let's calculate the rest of them. Now here, variance is just square of the standard deviation. So to find this value here, so variance S square is equal to 13.13 square, and that gives me 172.40. I'm rounding to 4. Oh, variance. You should write the right spot here. 172.40. Now, the mole is the one that appears most frequent on my data set. Notice that on C20 it appears the most frequent, which is 5 times. So therefore, 20 is the mole. The range is equal to the maximum minus the minimum. Right? Maximum data point minus the minimum data point. So in this case, the maximum is 65. My minimum here is 5. So the range here would be 60. Now let's calculate the upper fence and lower fence. We'll recall that the lower fence is equal to Q1 minus 1.5 times IQR. By the IQR, where upper fence is equal to Q3 plus 1.5 times IQR. So at the IQR is in the quartile range, which is Q3 minus Q1. Let me write below here. So IQR is equal to Q3 minus Q1. And in this case here, my IQR is Q3, in this case is 25. My Q1 is 18. So 25 minus 8 is equal to 7. So now I just plug in and calculate my left fence and right fence again. But see here, substitute it. So Q1 is 18 minus 1.5 times 7. And that is going to give me 7.5. And the upper fence Q3, which is 25, plus 1.5 times 7, which is going to give me my upper fence, which is 34.5. Right, so let me write it down. So lower fence is 7.5, upper fence is 35.5. So let me write it better. 35.5. Now, the 5 number summaries are your minimum, right? Your minimum, and then Q1, Q2, Q3, and the maximum. Those numbers are called a 5 number summary. So let's write it down. So the 5 number summaries are, we already found it. The minimum in this case here is 5. Okay, so those are the 5 number summaries. So now let's draw a box plot for commute times. So let's do it. Well, first of all, let's see if there's any outliers. And then outliers using the using IQR, we say is a number that is smaller than the lower fence or greater than the upper fence. So I notice that my minimum is 5, and my lower fence is 7.5. So 5 here is an outlier because it's outside of the 7.5. And I say my upper fence 35, so any data that's bigger than 35.5 will also be outlier. So let me point it out in the data set. So I have my original data set. It's right here. So I say the outliers are my 65, and any number that's less than my lower fence, which is 7.5. So 5 and 65 are outliers. So outliers, write it out. 2, 5, and then a 65. Now let's draw a box plot. So first I'm going to draw a number line. A straight line. Not really makes it straight. And I would suggest when you do on paper, maybe use a ruler or some sort of straight edge to make sure your number line is precise. So I know that my minimum data point is 5, so I need a number that including 5. My maximum is 65. So I want to put a range somewhat, make sure including the minimum maximum. So my smallest number on my data here 5. And then maybe do a fine increment here. So my next number is 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60, and 65 is my maximum. I'll do one more, 70. I can also do one below if I like, but this is good enough. Right? So that's my line. So to draw a box plot, first I might look for my Q2. Q2 in this case is 20. So at 20, I'm going to draw a little box right here. Okay? And then Q1 is at 18. Notice Q1 and Q2 are really close. So this is 18 is approximately here. And then my Q3 is 25. So that is my box. I draw a box. Once I've done this, now I want to draw my fences first before I draw a whisker. So my fences always recall my lower fence is 7.5. So at 7.5, I'm going to indicate my fence. 7.5 is somewhere here. And my upper fence is 35.5. So 35. Now I look for the smallest data point that is less than my upper fence. The biggest data point, not smallest. The biggest data point inside less than the upper fence. Look at it. The biggest data point that's inside the fence, that's 30. So at 30, I'm gonna put a little dot. Again, so this number here is the maximum data point that is less than the upper fence. I'm gonna draw here. Now, in the lower whisker, I look for the smallest data point, but that's bigger than the lower fence. So in this case here, the next number is my lower fence is 7.5. So one number that's bigger than 7.5, which is 10. So at 10, right here. So this number is the smallest data point that is bigger than the lower fence. Smallest data point that is bigger than the lower fence. And this number here is the biggest data point that's less than the lower fence. And once I've done this, now I'm going to draw my outliers. The outliers, we have 2 copies of 5, so 1, 5, 2, 5. We also have 65. Okay, now I finish my box plot. Let's do one more problem on reading box plots. Note that this box plot does not have any outliers. And the whiskers, notice that this is the whisker, right whisker, and there's the left whisker here. So let's use this diagram to answer the following question. Note that this box plot represents exam scores for a statistics class. So let's look at the A. estimated score for 75 percentile. Again, reminder, we said the box plot is divided into Q1, Q2, Q3, minimum, maximum. So if a box plot does not have outlier, no outlier. Now this point over here, that's the maximum data point. And this point over here will be the minimum data point. And this is your Q1. And that's Q2, which is a median, and Q3. Right? So 75 percentile, that is your Q3, and that's approximately 90%. So the score will be 90, right? 75%, 75th percentile is also the third quartile, or Q3, third quartile, or Q3. The left whisker cover up to, again, the left whisker, regardless the length or how long it is 25% of the total. And the left whisker, talking about here, that's the whisker. That is 25% of the total. And the percentage students score less than 60 is approximately 25%. Right? Because the whisker length total is 25. The percentage of students score more than 70%. Again, more than 70% is from, let me write it, 70% right here, 70 is from here, right? So more than 70 with 70 or more, and again, the lab is 25 over here total, so therefore will be 75%. Oh, not quite. 25 here, 25 also here, 25. So therefore should be 50%. So the percentage is 50. So the Q2 divides the data into the middle, which is 50% under and 50% over. If there were 60 students took the exam, estimated number that score between 70 and 90. Now between 70 and 90, again, between Q2 and Q3, no data. This is 70. That's Q2. And then 90 is Q3. And between Q2 and Q3, we said that's always 25%. So 25% of 60 students, 60 times 25%, this is 0.25. And that will be 15 students. If there were 60 students who took the exam, estimate number that scored less than 90, by answering complete sentence. Okay, so to answer the question, I will first let's find it first, and we'll answer the sentence. Score less than 90, that's less than Q3. Let me put a 90 in Q3. 90 here is your Q3. So Q3 separate data into bottom 75% and top 25%. Right? So that's Q3. So I say 75% student of 60, so 75% of 60 will score less than 90. So let's find it. So 60 times 0.75, that is 45 students. Okay, so to answer the question in a complete sentence, I would say if there were 60 students who took the exam, then a number of 45 students would score less than 90. And for part F, I would say if there were 60 students who took the exam, then 15 students would score between 70 and 90. Okay, thank you for watching the video. I'll see you next time.